What's up, everyone? Welcome back to CNC Auto Works. As you can already tell from the thumbnail, we've got ourselves another build for the channel. It's pretty much a dream car of mine and my brother's. It's really his car. He's the one that pulled the trigger to build one. And now, before I get in here to show you around the car what it looks like, the audio is going to be a little messed up. It's kind of like talking in a tin can in here. Well, everyone, what we got here is a 1969 Mustang coupe. Now, wait, before you click off the video, hear me out. Yeah, it's a coupe, but we've looked for a 69 Mustang for a long time. It's a 69 fastback, Boss 302. It is one of our dream cars. And I used to have a 70 fastback, got talked out of it, sold it. It was pretty rough, needed a lot of work, a lot of rust, talked myself out of it. Biggest mistake I've ever done. My little brother found this thing on Craigslist. He'd been looking for a fastback for a long time. He figured out that 10 grand will get you a roof and some quarter panels. It's basically what he found out. He found this thing on Craigslist for relatively cheap. He sent me the link. I looked at it. I said, man, that's not bad. I said, it's a good price, a real good price. Next morning, get ready to go to work. He says, hey, what do you think about making the drive to go get that car? I said, hey, I'm down. So I run back to the house, hook onto the trailer with the tow pig, make a 6-hour drive down to East Texas to pick this thing up. We load her up, we come straight back. The whole way down there, thinking of ideas, what we want to do. And the one idea we had was to basically turn this coupe into a fastback. They've got a kit, it's about a $6,000 kit. It's the full structure, down the side, quarter panels, roof, trunk structure. Basically, mostly you need to make it cosmetically look like a fastback from the outside. So whereas it's still gonna basically be a brand new car if we do this, for a lot cheaper than you could find a rusted out fastback. $6,000 kit, price of the car. He wound up paying $2,000 for the car. Thought that was a pretty good deal. It doesn't have an engine or transmission. If you've been keeping up with the channel, you know that we went and pulled an engine, transmission, and rear end out of the junkyard to set in this thing. One thing I hate is trying to roll something around to get it out of the way. So we figured, you know what, let's just get everything we need, stick a drivetrain in it, at least it'll start, run, move before we fully get into this build, and at least that way we can mock it up and know what's going to be in the way, what needs to be trimmed, what we want to do, what headers, what carburetor, etc., etc., etc. And we was full board on going to turn this thing into a fastback, and the more we looked, it's going to be about $10,000, maybe even $12,000 conversion when it's said and done. And that's not bad. That's still money ahead of buying a true fastback around here. But at the end of the day, you put that 12 grand in it, if you ever wanted to sell that car, at the end of the day, it's still a coupe. You're only going to recoup your money on a coupe price. You're not going to get a fastback price. So we get back, we're dead set on the fastback deal, and we start looking at the car. We look it over, look at it, and the car is really super clean. It's not too much rust. The trunk lid's rusted. And the bottom of the door's got a little bit of rust. And there's one little spot in the quarter that has a little rust. right here, and that is it. All the trunk floors are good. Bunch of junk back here, but the 70 I had was completely rotten. You can see the ground. Everything in here is still pretty solid. So then we got thinking, well, either spend 10 or 12 to come up and turn this thing into a fastback, and it still only be worth what a coupe's worth, or save that 10 grand and just build this thing as a coupe. Yeah, I know coupes are not desirable, but in my theory, if you get the right stance, the right color, either the right type of spoiler on the back of this thing, it's definitely got potential. And you know, we're looking at building this whole car for $4,000 to $8,000, and it be done. That's less than what we're gonna have in that kit, because even though we change everything structurally, we still got another $4,000 to $8,000 to put in it to get it fully going. So you're looking at 20 grand. Turn this thing to fastback, you're looking at 20 grand. Buying a fastback, you're looking at 20 grand plus. And then they're still pretty rough. They're still rusted. They're pretty much original. So I think what we're gonna do is give it a shot and maybe try to make one of the sickest 69 Mustang coupes you've ever seen. We got a 351 roller block Windsor going in this thing, C6 transmission, and a 8.8 inch rear end out of an Explorer. We're gonna mock it up for now just so we can drive it. And then we're gonna pull it apart and we're gonna totally rebuild every bit of that drivetrain, gears, posi, shift kit, new high performance red clutches and transmission, and then either build a stroker 351 or, you know, just do a little mild rebuild with some aluminum heads, intake, stuff like that. The interior in this car is pretty much shot. You can see the dash is shot. Thing hadn't been tagged since '97. It's got seats out of, I don't know, God knows what. I don't know what they're out of. They're pretty rough, but for the most part, it's all here. On the problem we ran into on the fastback conversion that really made us think about just doing this as a coupe is the interior pieces. Everybody's saying if you do the conversion, there is a few interior pieces that you're just not going to find without a donor car. And if you find a donor car, you might as well build the donor car, in my opinion. So we're just going to build this as cheap as possible, as sick as possible. Get this thing probably at least 4 to 5 inches lower than it is right now. And just make I don't even know what you call it, retro mod, I guess. Pro touring, maybe a pro touring look. It's something like that. He's over here getting this engine and transmission to go in this thing. We've already got the two mated together. He just dropped a distributor in it. I'm gonna get the transmission lines on, starter on. Get the torque converter all bolted up. That's all we lack. Get the motor mounts on. And we're gonna set this thing in there and see if she'll fire up today. And voila, just like that, puppy dropped in there like nothing. Like it wanted to be in there. Now that we got it sitting in there, he's working on transmission crossmember. And I'm about to start working on putting these headers on. We've just got a lot of random junk laying around that we're just gonna mock this thing up with. See if we can't make a runner. And I apologize for the long spiel on everything to do with the car earlier, but we really really like to know what you guys think, which way you would kind of go. Would you just leave it a coupe and build it? Or would you go fastback? Well, we got the carburetor on it. I went to put the headers I had on it. Turns out they don't fit. So I lied to you. We're not going to be able to get this thing running today. But make sure you join us next time to hear this thing fire up and run. It's not going to be too impressive. It is just a junkyard motor, but we are wanting to see if it runs just to move underneath its own power. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Until next time, we'll catch y'all later.